Well, some people call it hump day, but it's Wednesday and MLS All-Star Week retrospective here at Verde All Day's emergency podcast. What could we possibly have on order piping hot for people on Wednesday of this week?
Let's talk pork roll. Tom Bogert came into the venue about 15 minutes before we got him on stage. Just happened to show up, him, his glorious mustache, and wearing a New Jersey themed jersey that had the 732 area code and had something about pork roll. So the recording started a little bit later when we were just answering back and forth about the difference between pork roll and Taylor ham, which is a nomenclature difference. They are the same thing. They're just called different things in different parts of Jersey. Pork roll is the one that I have been told is the more appropriate of the two. So as we were entering this and he's talking about salt and pepper and ketchup, and I'm talking about breakfast meats, that is what we are referring to. We are referring to pork rolls. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I'm from Texas. I know scones. I know breakfast tacos. Pork roll has not been a thing that I have really encountered in my travels, but if I find myself in Jersey again and it is morning time, I'm probably going to partake because now I am really, really curious about these things. And then, of course, he dropped some news, of course, the Djordjevic news that you now know, but gave us that. And then, of course, we asked about another player rumor that we had been hearing about, and that's what leads that off. You'll be traveling back in time a little bit.
Looking at this through the lens of this week, going back to last week, as we're recording these intros on Monday, the 28th, rumor is going around that both the Palacios and Andrade possibilities are out the window, that either interest from one or both sides has dissipated, which kind of makes Bogert's response to the Andrade question telling, that was already cooling as of last week. But yeah, for anybody who follows Tom's incredible acumen when it comes to predicting what is actually going on in the transfer market, there is that rumor out there of, he must have a source inside the MLS front office. And when I mentioned this to him, I think it was the next day, he said, man, I wish it were that easy. I wish I didn't have to talk to 3 different people to confirm all of these things. So either he's a very talented liar, which if he is, congratulations, I doff my cap to you, sir. Or it really does take all that work, and I think it's probably more the latter than the former.
Or one of those 3 people he has to talk to happens to be in the front office.
There you go. There you go. I enjoy his ability to keep his sources relatively well masked, even though one presumes a fair amount of the MLS stuff, there's got to be somebody who is intimately involved in the overall process that is helping provide that final confirmation, or he's just worked them like clockwork to give him solid confirmation by how they respond to things that he has credible intel on. And that is what leads him to go, okay, well, I'm going to hit publish now. Really, really wonderful to get a short chat here with Tom. And for those who may be joining us who are new subscribers to Emergency Podcast or Verde All Day, as much as we focus on Austin FC, we've gotten more into talking about the general state of the league and just the general state of world football as we get into with Tom. So stay subscribed. It's not just Austin FC stuff here.
Emergency Podcast. Verde did a thing, so we gotta talk about it. Emergency Podcast. It's an emergency. Shut up, oh yeah, shut up, oh yeah, shut up. Emergency Podcast. It's an emergency.
You say pork roll, and that's how you get it right. A little salt, pepper, ketchup. Perfect.
You had me at breakfast meat. All right. Okay, so a lot of us probably want answered. So what's going on with Danny Pereira? What can you tell us?
I've got nothing new here. I reported a few days ago that the reporting was not true. I don't know to exactly what extent that is, but I got a very strong denial from multiple sources I spoke with. I know that there was more reports to come out today. I was still told no changes. I guess we'll see. I know Coventry City were in for him in the past, so that's not surprising. But again, I think he'll be at my live show tomorrow. I feel pretty confident about that.
Good. Now, something that one knows is Tommy Scoops never sleeps. You were literally posting and breaking news while you've been here. What news did you break about Atlanta United earlier?
To be fair, they announced it as well, but Matthias Click has been waived. So Matthias Click has now been waived by 2 teams this season, and Atlanta United have opened up another spot, and guess what? He's still a DP for DC United. A couple DC fans, I felt bad for them as they asked me, so does this mean he's still a DP? It's like, yeah, he still is.
Just as much of a DP as he was.
The team that's paying him $100,000 on the cap said, you know what, that's not enough.
That's amazing. Oh my god. All right, so just tell us about covering the league this year. Like, what's been different about it? What's been different about the climate? Obviously, you've got a new home over at Give Me Sport, and then doing stuff with Soccerwise, and we'll get to that story and that new development in a bit here. But just wanted to get your impressions about covering things and how it's been and what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's been another good season. It's funny, like, my guy Charlie Bone, Alex Abno, Sonor, these guys have all covered the league longer than I have. And I even think back to like when my first year at like MLSsoccer.com, there was, I think, 20 teams in the league. Was that 7 or 8 years ago? And I felt like I had a handle. I felt like I watched every minute of every game, and I didn't have a lot else going on in my life, to be fair. But with 20 teams, I felt like I could do that every week. And now I'm still on top of everything. But with the 30 teams, there's just so much going on, and the length of the season that it's super fun to try to figure out, okay, what's a data point and what's just, hey, it's a long season and weird things happen sometimes. So that's the thing that I'm always grappling with, of figuring it out, what's real, what's not, what's random, and what's a sign of things to come. So that's what's been fun this year. Obviously, like, the last 6 or 8 weeks in the MVP and the Supporter Shield race, man, I hope it stays like this, because it'd be really fun to have both of these things go towards the final day. If Messi's getting 3 goal contributions a game for another few weeks, probably won't be close in the MVP race, but the Shield race has a chance to be epic this season, and that's the one thing I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah, I think in your last podcast you were saying that the Shield race is more competitive than the last place for the Eastern playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, there are 10 teams alive for the 9 playoff spots, so it's really who's going to get in the play-in game.
No offense to New England.
Yeah, and then in previous years, it'd usually be the other way. Like, last year, Columbus gave Miami a push, but for the most part, it was, is Miami going to set a new record? And that had been the case a couple of different times over previous years. So this year, with hardware really going down, hopefully going down the wire, I don't want to jinx anything yet, but there are 6 or 7 teams that can legitimately claim to be in the race, and there's 10 or 12 games left for every team, and that's hopefully going to be really fun.
On the topic of fixture congestion, you're a man who appears in a lot of different places. I've seen you on Morning Footy. You've got the podcast. You've got so many different things that you're doing. How do you juggle your time? How do you manage your time and your focus in what you're doing in each of these different places?
No, that's a good question. I'm trying to not be too ever present, though. The fixture congestion is a fair joke.
The thing.
I gotta make sure to not do that too much. No, I've been really happy with everything with CBS or whatever and Soccerwise that we're doing. So just trying to supplant everything as best as I can. But I will say the way I manage is I don't have that many hobbies outside of this at the moment. I don't have a ton of time. I have a really cool and very understanding wife who understands that it's just part of her life that I have to walk away and take phone calls at Friday night at 7 p.m. sometimes. So she's a trooper, so thankfully for that, and hanging out at home with the dog. So that's how I handle everything.
Right, so you are about to be a little bit busier maybe with the new endeavor, Soccerwise melding with Kickback.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what that is for those of us who don't know. I think a lot of us know, have a sense already of what that is, but just, tell us about that and tell us about what's going down at Haymaker tomorrow.
So at Haymaker tomorrow, we're going to be having a live show, Goss and I, plus some of you fine folks here in Austin, plus Danny Pereira, plus Susanna Collins is going to be there. It's going to be really fun. Last year was our first live show in Columbus. And that's still my favorite moment of just being with all the people who care enough to come out. It's always so humbling. It makes me happy. We do this for the human connection, right? Like, I love talking soccer with Goss, and now Jordan Andrew, and Susanna, and everybody else. I love seeing the people that I talk to rather than just in the comment section and everything else. It is so much fun to be with people in person, so I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. As for Kickback Soccerwise will stay the same. You will get the shows from me and Goss twice a week about MLS U.S. Men's National Team. Jordan and Goss will do their one show a week on NWSL U.S. Women's National Team. And we're getting to bring in Susanna Fuller. As you know, Susanna Collins from before she got married. She is incredible. Claudia Pagan's part of this. Steve Pierce. We got a lot of friends that are going to be part of this. So it's more about expanding. But if you're just a fan of Soccerwise, I promise you nothing's going to change. That has been a non-negotiable for me when talking to everybody else with that. I love what we're doing. We're getting good feedback. This can't change. We want to keep doing it. We're going to have some adults in the back end, which is good because I told Goss from the start, dude, my brain doesn't work that way. Goss was doing as much as he could, but he's a very busy man too. And he's really good at the front end stuff. He's good at the back end stuff too, but nobody has that time. So we've got some really serious people with us, and I think it's just going to be good for American soccer and good for us.
Yeah, the logo did change though.
Yeah, we're just another rebrand. So yeah, we're going to be due for another one pretty soon, just to keep it up with America. Again, for American soccer, right?
We're not switching back to HBO Max from HBO Max. So
I
you're
should've
doing
started-
one
It's gonna
thing
be
right.
like Juventus. It's just gonna be an S.
I should have just started a consulting. I could have made all my money consulting for our company for just the logo.
So what is it about Austin as a soccer city that stands out to you? As somebody who pays attention to so many different corners of so many different leagues, so many different competitions, Austin that has now had a professional club for 5 years, where did Austin start? Where is Austin now? What do you think Austin is going to do in the future? And how much has Mike LaHood influenced that?
LaHood's a legend. So I think Charlie said in the last panel where he said, hey, like, it was extremely impressive what the reaction was, what the fan support has been. The fan support, fan culture, first and foremost, is what draws me to this club. And Charlie said it of, yeah, year one, that's all obviously really impressive, but how is it going to continue? And even when things are bad, things have been bad, and a couple times. You guys still show. I could tune into an Austin FC Wednesday night game in August, in September. Let's say it's a year where they were pretty far below the playoff line. Last year, like at the end of the Josh Wolf run. You guys are still bringing it every single week. And I think that's the most impressive, because you look at a lot of other places, they compete when things are really good. The testament of a fan base is when, are you still coming when things aren't great? And obviously, that can't always happen forever. Maybe it won't always happen forever. And nor should it. The club should be reactive to pressures and stuff. But the way that this fan base comes out when things are good, bad, or indifferent, that is the most impressive thing. The organic nature of the sport, nothing feels plastic, nothing feels forced. I really, really love it.
And then what do you think this summer? All right, yeah, going to call back. What do you think the summer transfer window is going to bring, if not say for Austin, just around the league? I know that Rodrigo DePaul, obviously, he's coming in. I trusted you guys enough to pick him up in the supplemental best ball draft. So, by the way, I went anti-Goss theorem for most of my picks. It's worked out. So, I guess you're evaluating on one team.
I am. I was telling you, I'm looking forward to that tomorrow.
Okay,
We're going to do that at the show.
All right.
Goss was asking me, like, hey, is Abu Ali going to join club? Like, who should I draft for this? I don't know. He's like asking me for prep. I was like, hey, man, I got to stay impartial on this one. Austin, feel pretty confident they're going to be signing a center back this window. I'm blanking on the name.
Serbian guy?
Yes.
Djordjevic.
That one. Yeah, I feel pretty good that that one's going to happen. Nothing's done. Can't confirm anything here as we're sitting. Maybe by tomorrow we'll see.
You just confirmed it. Yeah, maybe give him.
That's a real one. So when as I downplayed the Danny Pereira one, I'll tell you this one is absolutely real. I know that for a fact. We'll see how this one goes at the end, but that's something to look forward to for this team. And we'll see how the attack evolves with Uzuni maybe playing more centrally with Brent Vasquez's unfortunate injury. But that's what I'm expecting for Austin. And then across the league, Charlotte, Columbus, DP forwards, San Jose, I think are going to be in the mix for something good with Hernan Lopez leaving. So those are the ones I'm looking at. I think it's going to be much more busy incoming than outgoing, because there aren't that many obvious outgoing names as there are, say, in other years.
Honest assessment. Back when sporting director Roto Burrell said that names you wouldn't believe were in the running for the Austin FC coach. This far into Nico Esteves' tenure at Austin, what do you think he has been like as a fit for this club, for this fan base, for this world? How does he fit into the story of Major League Soccer?
I want to put it back to you guys, because you guys obviously are on the ground of how much has he been different than the previous regime? Has he made an impact that way?
Boy, can we talk for hours.
Yeah, it's just temperament alone. Just his countenance and all that. Much more calm, much more friendly, very thoughtful, very methodical in his approach. Will give us answers sometimes perhaps too long for some of our tape, but definitely a difference from what we got with the previous era. And definitely more of an emphasis on defense, but obviously the main concern here is we are now almost 2/3 of the way through the season. We are on this kind of possible verge of breaking the record for fewest goals scored in a 34-game season. We're probably just going to get over that DC United 2013 line, but probably not by much. Our leading goal scorer has an ACL injury right now. Our other two leading goal scorers have 2 goals each. It's not a problem.
At least now there's a couple players with multiple goals, so that's a step.
Exactly, yeah. It's progress.
I'm gonna end up making you answer a version of that question.
Yeah, I was going to give an answer.
Okay, all right, good. For me, the biggest difference that I've seen is knowing that Nico comes from supporter group culture in Spain.
Yeah.
He has been down on his knees, hand painting signs and banners and tifos and that kind of thing. He understands fan culture in ways that I feel like, and I've said this on the podcast many times, Josh Wolf's generation of U.S. men's national team players just don't jive with Murga-style South American fan bases and that kind of culture. And it's really been night and day. It has been Nico telling us, no, they told me that they just wanted a couple of people at this meet and greet, and I said, anybody who wants to show up should show up. I want to be accountable to the fan base. I want to be on the front lines. They should give me stick when I deserve it. They should hold me accountable. And that has been something that, despite the not great win-loss record, has actually made a pretty significant difference in terms of people going, okay, at least he's saying that he's going to be accountable and he's not making excuses and throwing his players under the bus.
Exactly. And again, just the accountability and being front-facing and being open to the criticism. Again, it's not going to necessarily make people change their mind, but at least it's not going to be shrouded in secrecy or, no, I know better than you, or whatever, right? Like, him just being there, that helps you think, okay, maybe I see where he's going. So it's been disappointing in the attacking third, obviously, right? That's not a super hot take.
Oh, yeah, we're aware.
And the worry is that mirrors what happened in Dallas, that everything was really good in the middle third and the defensive third, and then they could go. And even when he wanted to play more expansive there, they didn't have the defenders and the defensive structure to do it, so he was strong there. I was hoping to see more in Austin. Hasn't been. That needs to get better again. I'm certain that he thinks that too. I will say his character, I'm glad that you guys both brought that up. His character is really, really strong. He's a guy that, listen, you talk to people around U.S. soccer, you still talk to people at Dallas, still have really positive things to say about him. I thought that he 1,000% deserved another job in MLS. Was surprised that it was Austin FC, just given the rivalry with Dallas and the fact that another former U.S. assistant coach after the last one, right? Like after Josh, I thought that was interesting and surprising, but like I think he is absolutely an MLS quality caliber head coach, and I'm glad that he got the second chance.
The extension on that I wanted to ask you is, what, in your estimation, makes for a good MLS coach? Somebody coming into the league who hasn't coached in MLS, somebody who is...
Never. No,
yeah,
but like...
Never, but...
More often than not, that doesn't work.
MLS is a gradual process, right? It's a continent size of travel that people have to contend with. What is it to you that makes somebody ready to take on an MLS coaching job?
So, it helps a lot to have an understanding of the league, but also having an understanding of the global soccer market as is, right? To not have a view of, oh, MLS, I only understand this and this is the best. Same thing about people coming from abroad. If they don't take the time to learn or take the time to care, what happened to Olaf Melberg in St. Louis is just going to keep happening. And there's 100 different examples of that. So it needs to be a balance like everything else. And again, you need to surround that coach with what he may be lacking, whether that's experience on his staff. If you bring somebody in from abroad, the front office absolutely needs to have that strong, like MLS experience, MLS cadence, everything else, and somebody who's willing to collaborate. I will say that Jim Curtin taught me a lot about, like, hey, like, you guys criticize us for tactics or whatever, right? Like, substitutions, I get it, right? We should be. But you guys do that because that's what you can see. I promise you, man, like, the best coaches here, it's not about some crazy, like, for every Wilfred Nancy, there's 99 coaches that succeed because of man management, of understanding the players, of doing simple things to put your players in the right spot. Like, Wilfred Nancy is a unicorn right here. There's Brian Schmetzer, there's Bruce Arenas, there's a Jim Curtin. Again, they have impeccable tactical knowledge, but they're not doing anything that's a crazy cutting edge. But what they do is understanding the strengths of their team, understanding the structure and the baseline of not trying to overcomplicate things when it's not, like, they don't need to prove to you how smart they are. They're super secure in how they are, and they're like, you know what, we're just going to win, and I'm going to win wherever I go, and however I do. So it takes being humble, and it takes understanding the strengths of your groups and not being too dogmatic that, like, no, my way is the best way. I'm going to play like Manchester City even though we have the budget of a mid-table MLS, right? Like, it just doesn't work like that here.
Yeah.
Tom Bogert for commissioner.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Somebody brought up Olaf Melberg before you. Hey, John Arnold. Hello. Before you got
Let's
here,
do it for John Arnold, everybody.
I was going to say,
It's obviously embarrassing him.
yeah, so somebody up here was mentioning Olaf Melberg as his favorite, like, non-Austin FC story this year. So it's become a mini Olaf Melberg road.
Sorry with a drive-by, but I think he deserves that.
All right. I know that you probably wouldn't want to get into the predictions game necessarily, but just looking at how the rest of the season's going to line up, any particular kind of decision day things that are catching your eye or anything playoff-wise that you think might go down?
Yeah, so I'm still sticking to my preseason prediction of Cincinnati for the Shield. it gets more and more difficult to stick to that when Miami are putting up 5 goals against teams, and then Columbus are hopefully going to fill their DP spot. And Philly keep rolling. I think Whitecaps are fading. I think they're fading. No, so again, like the Shield race is what I'm looking the most forward to, and then I wholeheartedly disagree with Joe Lowry in the best of 3 playoff structure. We played 34 regular season games. Let's 19 make the playoffs. Let's go play 3 more games. Awesome, cool. Why don't we do a best of 7 for every round? Club World Cup style MLS tournament.
Yeah, let's make it futsal, right? Make that game
Final
faster,
points.
yeah.
No, so we do this for trophies, right? Like that's what all these people are in for it. And the Supporter Shield is a major trophy coming down the line. That's what I hope to see, but we'll see.
Okay, you bring up major trophies. Let's talk about U.S. Open Cup. I have been of the opinion for a week and a half now that Austin winning U.S. Open Cup has to happen because the narrative would be too good. The narrative is too good for that to not come to pass.
Yeah, I mean, 20 minutes away from going down to the USL side, that kind of comeback, and then getting no goals from open, playing 120 minutes against San Jose and still winning.
What do you think makes for the most entertaining narrative of what remains of Open Cup? Of the teams that are in the mix, what permutation of things would entertain you, Tom Bogert, the most?
And why is it us?
That's a good one. Look, Brad Stuber standing on his head, like the highlights from the San Jose win, like
Insane.
Both Brad Stuber and like the amount of like defensive scramble. Like there was that one sequence at the end of stoppage time where there was like a couple great saves and 3 major blocks, and I was just like, hell yeah, I'm so in. I love that stuff. But I'm looking at the other side of Philly, Nashville. Like I know Philly still needs to play the Red Bulls, but like those 2 teams are really, really good. And again, out west with Austin, like I'm impartial, so I will follow whatever storyline comes through. But again, a club chasing their first trophy, it's a pretty special story.
Are you going to make it to Austin for host finals?
That is the plan, yeah.
Okay.
Me and Goss are planning to be wherever that final is.
Nice, okay. 2 more wins. We'll see. The one win.
Hope to be back.
All right. Before I let you go, so you've been seeing this poetry slam, hot take kind of thing that we've been doing. So what we do sometimes between rounds, as it were, is a calibration poet. Somebody to get the crowd amped for the next round. A poet that you want to feature, a poet that you see in the audience that you know has something special. So, Tom, you are our calibration poet heading into the next round. So give us a hot take to get us ready for what comes next.
All right, I'll have to go for the roster rules side of things because that just feels
Please.
correct.
You're playing to your crowd right now.
deep
At
cut.
least to us.
Very much.
Remove. Look, it's gonna MLS. It's more likely that Europe looks like MLS in terms of salary cap roster rules, and MLS looks more like Europe. So I preface this by saying, make the cap 20 million plus 2 DPs. That's it. International roster slots that can remain, but everything else, take all that away, and homegrowns have to be off roster. You should be rewarded for continuing to play kids, develop kids, invest in those kids, and then that you shouldn't be able to run out of roster spots for them. And when you give them new contracts, they should stay off your books. And if you want to invest in your kids, guess what? That's a strength for you. Congratulations for doing your academy correctly.
So who up and down do you think that benefits?
Philly, Dallas. Philly more than anybody right now.
Go.
Red Bulls, NYCFC, but Philly, Dallas. San Jose, if they can get their stuff together.
Okay. Our new favorite team.
Salt Lake. Jesus.
All right.
Before we let you go, what is one of your favorite things to do in Austin when you're here?
I landed today. This is my first time here. So right now, this is it. This is it.
This is literally
This is
it.
it.